Happy 4th of July weekend to you. It is officially the 6th of July. Here we are in the Suburban Ford Sports Cave. You're out barbecuing, hopefully watching us on your tablet, your phone, or maybe peeking through the window, or maybe you're just about to get set for your third of 3 barbecues on what a fantastically beautiful weekend it has been. Brad Galli with Dave Birkett of the Detroit Free Press, Matt Shepard of 1130 The Fan, and many other media outlets around town, including part of our Lions coverage. We're talking about getting kicked off very soon here.
Can't wait.
A couple weeks.
It's going to be awesome.
Yeah.
Very excited to have you guys here. It's been a busy week, as it always is, we say here, but it is Detroit sports. We've had the World Cup to watch on a world level, really. The Red Wings and Pistons kicking off free agency talks that didn't exactly go as fans planned or hoped.
Yeah.
We'll talk about that as we kind of dove in last week, but now the results are here. We're going to talk about that, but we're also going to start with the Tigers.
Wait, can I ask you a question? Shouldn't I have a nameplate on here after 3 straight weeks?
That's right. This is kind of like your home, your second home.
I brought you guys. I figured I'd owe you some rent. So, you know, it's a new addition to the Sports Cave.
Hold it up for the camera over here. Let's
new
check
addition
that
to the
out.
Sports Cave?
Can we
what do you
get
think? A little
That's
Larry
good,
Bird.
but he's just another good basketball player.
Larry Bird and Isaiah. We got to put that up somewhere.
Put that up next week.
No, let's put
Today?
it up now.
Today?
Yeah,
I put it up
absolutely.
today. There we go.
Ben Wallace can be the.
Uh-oh.
He gets the lead
Ouch.
breaker. No, he can.
Don't treat him like Joe did.
Hold it
Okay,
up.
there we go.
Don't treat him like Joe did.
I'm just
Ouch.
kidding.
Well, hey, we're getting close tonight. The All-Star game announcements for the teams. I'm sure that some Tigers will be involved there. We're going to talk maybe about what players fit in there. And also coming up at 11:30, new Pistons rookie Spencer Dinwiddie is going to join us live from Pistons Summer League in Orlando. Not playing with the team, but is there meeting his teammates, meeting the coaching staff on an official level. Let's start with the Tigers, though, because the A's made a big trade to acquire 2 very good pitchers from the Chicago Cubs. Justin Verlander made some comments yesterday about that trade. The question I pose to you guys as this trade deadline looms in July 31st, do the Tigers have to make a move in order to maybe keep pace?
To counter it? I don't know if you have to counter it, but I think they will make a move. I think Dave Dombrowski has proven that. The wild card in this whole thing, I think, for Detroit is, what is Joel Hanrahan? Will Joel Hanrahan be as effective as he was while he was in Pittsburgh or wherever? I think Detroit needs 3 players. I think they need a left-handed stick off the bench. I don't think they have anybody who is as reliable as they would like, and Andy Dirks coming back is, I don't think, necessarily the answer. They could use another lefty out of the bullpen. Ian Kroll will come back eventually, and he will be effective, I would assume, but they need another guy. And, you know, a guy like a Joaquin Benoit, if Hanrahan can't come through, is a guy that they could use. They have the worst bullpen in the majors, and they have to address it.
Now, I've been beating the drum for a couple weeks now. I think they need an arm or 2 for the bullpen. Benoit's a guy like Joakim Soria out of Texas, you know, a guy that has kind of recaptured the glory that he had a few years ago. I think he's a guy that, you know, maybe could fill in for Joe Nathan if Nathan struggles, but at the very least could be an 8th-inning guy. You mentioned that Hanrahan can't come back.
Chamberlain's been good in the 8th, though.
He has, yeah, he has.
He's been a surprise for me this whole season with his consistency and what he's brought and kind of retooled his career a little bit.
Let me throw another name out there, can I? I was just talking about lefties out of the bullpen. What about a former Tiger and Andrew Miller? Andrew Miller's 3rd year, arbitrary eligible next year, doesn't make a ton of money. He's 29 years old, has a lot of holds. His ERA is very good. He's lost some games for Boston. Boston's about 9-10 games under the break even. I don't know if they're ready to cave just yet. And what would it take? I'm not sure. But I think it's worth exploring getting a guy like that who still throws in the mid-90s.
The thing with the Tigers is they're not going to be able to make an Addison Russell type deal. I mean, they don't have a prospect of that caliber, so they're not going to be able to get a guy like Samardzija. You know, you're probably going to have to give up Jake Thompson, you know, one of your better arms down in A-ball. He's a good player.
Yeah.
You know, somebody like that.
Stephen Moya, somebody like that.
You know, they got a second baseman
Tyler
down
Collins,
there that's pretty decent, but I don't know that you're going to be able to get that guy that really puts you over the top.
But you're not getting Jeff Samardzija either.
You're right.
Jeff Samardzija and Jason Hamill were Chicago's 2 best pitchers.
Okay, but let me throw this out to you, because the name that baseball fans are going to be watching most closely over the next few weeks is David Price. Right. They have 4 good starters here in Detroit, but we've seen what Drew Smyly's done the past few weeks and this season. Yeah. We know he's going to move to the bullpen for the playoffs. Is there a chance or a shot in the world that the Tigers make a play for David Price?
No, they don't have the ammo. They can't do it.
Just because of what the prospect situation is?
Well, you know, I mean, I think that's the biggest reason. You know, they don't have the ammo to go out and get a guy like that. But I think, you know, their top 4, they should be pretty comfortable with those guys around. Porcello's having a really good year. You know, JV looks like he's starting to come back a little bit. Scherzer, Sanchez. I think you got 4 solid starters. I don't think that's the biggest issue.
Plus, he's a free agent at the end of the year, you know, and he's going to command over $20 million.
Price is next year, is he not?
Price is after this year.
I think,
I thought he was a free agent after this year, and he's going to command well over $20 million.
I think a team like Toronto, or a team like that, is a team that can go out and make that sort of move, get an arm like that for their rotation, kind of stabilize that rotation. I think the Tigers need some other parts.
That surprised me if they trade him within the division.
They said they're willing to do it if they get the prospects.
My hope is he goes to the National League. Yeah.
I think the thing with him is, I agree with both of you. They have 4 starters. This is a team that's been built to win in the playoffs. They know what it takes. They know what it's going to take. The buddy here, it kind of reminds me of the A's-Tigers picture of where things have developed. I think these teams know.
2 straight years.
Lauren LeGros or what?
Well, hey, I mean, the Tigers have had the A's number for a long time now, and I think the little brother out in Oakland has decided that that's got to change. Billy Beane, or as somebody said on Twitter this week, Brad Pitt made the best trade he's ever made.
Well, you know what? I mean, Verlander made those comments, and he's right to some level, because the Tigers have had their number in the playoffs the last 2 years. That's the hump that Oakland needs to get over.
But it's not just for the Tigers. That didn't hear the comments. Justin Verlander said the A's made these moves, that trade, because of us.
Yeah.
Backtracked a little bit, but yeah, look, is that a bad thing to say?
I don't think so. I don't think it's far from the truth either.
I don't either.
Right. They were in the World Series.
Who else are they
making
making it for? They're not making it for Toronto, with all due respect to the Blue Jays. It's Detroit who's been knocking them off. It's Detroit who has the best starting pitching in the American League. Some would argue the entire game of baseball. So that's the team that they try to match. There's nothing wrong with that.
Right.
Concern for you in the last couple games here, how the pitching's gone, how the bats have gone a little quiet?
No, I don't think so. I think it's one of those stretches that they're going to go through. I mean, I still think that they are the team to beat in the Central. Kansas City's a distant number 2 to me. They don't have the prospects to go out and get that home run type guy to put them over the top either. So I think the Tigers are still going to be there at the end of the day.
I don't think it's a big deal. They go into that series as a team. They were batting like .295 over the last month or so, best in the American League. I don't think it's that big of a deal. I'm fine with it.
Let's change gears a little bit.
Uh-oh.
You're
sure with two-hander?
That's right, baby. Lefty. I'm actually a righty.
Well, they could use you on the back line.
They could.
They could use you at the
point. Not with this stick. They need me on the right-hand stick. And that's what my question is to you guys. We heard Ken Holland come right out and say it. Mm-hmm. We need a right-hand defenseman at the end of the season going into next year. There were a lot of big prizes out there. Mm-hmm. We knew with Matt Niskanen, Christian Ehrhoff, who became available late when he was cut by Buffalo for salary reasons. Yet here we are.
Dan Boyle,
Dan Boyle was another one. I mean, here we sit, and Kyle Quincy's the guy that's back.
Oh.
It almost seems like the Red Wings were caught with their pants down a little bit, but when you look across the board of why each guy decided to go where he went,
understand it.
There's more to it.
Right.
That being said, people expect a winner here. It's disappointing.
I think the signing of Kyle Quincy, my view was it was a panic move. Do I understand why Niskanen went to Washington to be reunited with his defensive coach there? Not Barry Trotz, but his defensive coach? Yes. They also offered more money. I get it. Dan Boyle's one of his best friends is Martin St. Louis, always wanted to play in New York. I get that too. Christian Ehrhoff thinks he's going to win a cup in Pittsburgh, and he's got the money. It's no big deal. And Stefan Robidas, a guy who goes to Toronto, wants to be closer to his family. I get that as well. We're just not used to being scorned here in Detroit, especially in the game of hockey. To say it's not a destination site, I think, is a reach, and it's a panic move on the part of people who are saying it. Detroit just last year had Stephen Weiss sign here, and they had Daniel Alfredsson sign here. So it's not like people don't believe this is a good place to go. There are just other reasons they've chosen to go elsewhere.
The Niskanen one is, I think, the one that hurts if you're a Red Wings fan, because Boyle's older. He's up there in age, and he's a good player. But Niskanen's a guy I think that really could have helped this team.
He's got 1 year proven, Dave. 1 year, and they signed him to a 7-year, $40.5 million contract.
But his track record
is not
speaks
Ryan
for itself.
Suter.
They've liked him for a long time. That's been documented. They liked him. He's a guy that they've talked about for a while.
When he's in Dallas? I
throughout his
haven't
career,
heard that.
Someone that they liked.
Yeah.
From what I've heard.
Well, in the money, you mentioned, I mean, you can't fault him for going out east to Washington, right? I mean, they paid him well. Look, the Red Wings still have a little bit of cap space. They're going to get a second-tier guy, I think, somewhere here.
Watch Derek Morris. I mean, he's a 35-year-old right-handed shot. Ken Holland has liked him in the past. He could be available. They can still trade for a guy, okay? They've got some...
Tyler Myers is a guy that we were talking about.
Tyler Myers is a right-handed shot for Buffalo. Keith Yandle's a left-handed shot in Arizona. They've liked him for a long time. They still have a chance to get a top-4 defenseman.
Look, bottom line to me, they need to go young. I think this is the right thing to do. Even though they missed out, go with the young guys, let them play. Maybe they went to that youth movement a hair too late last year. Go with the young guys, let them play.
But they are young.
That's how you win. I know, but
they've got a ton of young guys. And if that's the case,
let them roll.
Trust those guys and roll with them.
Don't sign Kyle Quincy and bring up Ryan Sproul, who's a right-handed, or Alexei Marchenko, who's a right-handed shot. Bring up either one of those guys instead of Kyle Quincy.
I think what scares people, and we're all in tune with social media, we're constantly interacting people, and join the conversation. If you have your opinion, use the hashtag 7SportsCave. People get nervous when you see that salary cap room there for a couple of years now and say, oh, well, Holland's going to wait to make a deal at the deadline. And then it doesn't happen. And then the offseason comes and let's try to get a couple big guys. And then those don't come. There's reason to panic in this town because you don't see what we used to see in the olden days. But I think, as Dave and Matt, you guys know, that young talent is there. Yep. And it's the way you win in the NHL now. It's the way the Kings, the Blackhawks, the Bruins have won the Cup the past few years. Roll the dice, go with them because you know what they're capable of.
Yeah, but they have sprinkled in veteran presences too, and Detroit has that. The problem people in Detroit, I feel, have is that our veteran presence are our best players. Zetterberg, Datsuk, Alfredson from a year ago, where you're waiting for the younger guys. Chicago, their best players are their young guys. The Kane, the Tays, the Keiths. Those are the guys who have led them. And same thing in Los Angeles with the Drew Dowdys, for example.
Those teams all bottomed out as well, and the Wings have not gotten there yet. And I think you look at what happened last season. Zetterberg and Datsuk missed a ton of time.
They only played, well, how many games did they play together? 20-something? And then 45 games total, I think those guys played or individually. And Franzen missed games. I mean, they had the second most man game lost to injury. When people say, oh, every team goes through it, not like that, they don't.
No. And they were still about a dozen points away, 8 to 10 points away from being a much lower, higher seed, however you want to say it.
Full season of Nyquist this year. Full season of Nyquist this year. He'll be fine. Yeah. You know, Mantha, you don't know what you're going to get from him, but he should be in the lineup somewhere. I think if those two give them big contributions, I think the Red Wings will be just fine.
He'll be an interesting one. And we can talk more about the Wings as the show goes on, especially if you guys drive the topic out there and want us to talk about it. Mantha's a guy that I think he's got to be a top 6 guy.
Has to be.
Ken
Otherwise,
he's
in
make
Grand
that
Rapids.
roster.
Yeah,
unless he needs the seasoning still, even though he scored 81 goals last year. Well, then we are just getting started here. We promise you guys can be a part of the show, and girls out there. Use the hashtag 7SportsCave. Tweet us your questions, your topics. Dave is getting so fired up for training camp. He's been here for 17 straight weeks on this couch. He wants to get out there, put his sunglasses on. He has the best visor collection. If you've got Lions questions, bring them. Just getting started here. Welcome back inside the Suburban Ford 7 Sports Cave. Thanks for spending your 6th of July with Dave, Matt, and I here. Beautiful day.
It's been awesome.
We're inside.
Great weekend.
We are inside. Yeah. Perfect weather.
That's right. We can go in your pool afterwards.
Maybe.
No big deal.
That's right. A little pool basketball. Mike Foss is a dominant pool basketball player, allegedly.
He is?
Allegedly.
Yeah, he says that.
That's what he says. Mike is always monitoring Twitter. Mike, what are people saying about the Wings and maybe some other topics out there today?
I'm gonna consider myself a retired pool basketball player. I'm probably a little too rusty
the
now.
knees are getting
Speaking
too
of
old.
basketball, we're still taking your questions. If you've got them for Spencer Dinwiddie later in the show, use the hashtag 7SportsCave, and we'll try and get some of those on there. Meanwhile, people talking about the Red Wings again, using that hashtag 7SportsCave. We'll see what some of the people are saying. Our pal Freddie saying that it was forgotten by most that the injuries the Wings had and the kids pushed through and got experience, that fact alone can be a special year. Joseph says the young guns and veteran injuries might have influenced free agents from coming here. Mike Green, a possibility if he becomes available. Detroit Sports Podcast wondering if they think the reason defensemen don't come here is because they don't want to play in front of Jimmy Howard. And one other topic I want to throw out for you guys, I know, Brad, you and I talked a little bit about it earlier in the week, the possibility of Miguel Cabrera or perhaps Victor Martinez in the home run derby. We may know later tonight when the All-Star teams are announced. Brad Ausmus has given his blessing. Guys, what do you think?
Interesting.
I don't have a problem with it.
I don't have a problem with it, but I'd stay away from it if I was those guys. No sense in,
You don't have a problem with it, but
I
you'd stay away
don't
from
have a
it.
problem with it, but if I'm one of those guys, I wouldn't do it. I don't know. To me, it's not something that's necessary. It's just I don't know. You kind of get off
Neither's a
your
slam
game.
dunk contest, but we want
And the superstars don't play in
superstars
that.
to. Yeah, I know, and we rip them for it.
I don't rip them. It's just not something I would do. To me, it's a meaningless part of All-Star Weekend.
Ausmus says it's just one BP session, and that can't possibly mess up your swing. I think these guys are smart enough. Miguel's smart enough and good enough of a hitter to know that you go through one BP session and try to swing for the fences. I think you can tone it down
I
afterwards.
think it messed up Pudge Rodriguez's swing.
You do or don't think?
No, I don't.
I don't think so either.
I don't think it's that big of a deal.
No.
You know? I would like to see the All-Star or Major League Baseball do things differently for the All-Star. Instead of the home run derby, or in addition to, I think the home run derby is too long, but I'd love to see them, I don't know, have guys timed first to third. You know, you'd love to see a guy like Billy Hamilton run from first to third, wouldn't you? I'd like to see guys from right field or each of the corner outfields, hit targets on throws. Try to find different skill competitions for Major League Baseball.
But they do that in the NBA, and people don't care. They just wait until the dunk contest starts.
You know what I do like the
They
futures
do it in the
game.
NHL.
I do like the futures game. I know that's not that day before the All-Star game, but that Sunday, that's a nice little thing that they have.
Yeah, they do the
That's one
skills
thing that I
competition in the
think they
NHL
do right.
too.
They do.
You know?
And that's different because we've always watched L.I.F. Frady and older players like that, Zdeno Chara, try to hit the corners and how fast they can go. I think with baseball, I grew up, and I think we all have those kind of memories of Ken Griffey Jr. winning the Derby, Sammy Sosa doing it.
But he turned his hat backwards. It's not a good thing. I'm waiting for people to
If you're a
rip on
quarterback.
Yeah, because you're your boy, man.
Hey, let me ask you this. Somebody had tweeted, just in Mike just read it. It was about the Jimmy Howard situation.
Yeah.
Do you think people are going to Washington to play in front of Braden Holtby?
No, I don't think so.
Okay.
Yeah.
To me, I don't know if that's.
I don't think Howard's an issue. I think it's money. I think it's location. I think you mentioned it. There's different factors that factored into a lot of those guys' decision that was the ultimate reason why those guys at the end of the day didn't come to Detroit.
And we talk about the numbers too. I mean, Howard had numbers. If you look at Jonathan Quick as this stud, next coming of Jesus goaltender, he didn't have the greatest numbers last year.
Right.
There are really no elite goaltenders in the
Toronto
NHL.
He's a good player.
Toronto was
He's good.
alternating their goalies. Toronto's alternating their goalies, and Robidoux went there. I don't think it's that big of a deal.
Yeah, I think people in this town like to give Jimmy Howard some crap, I guess is the word, just because it's naturally to do that.
Red Wings goalie, right?
That's how it goes.
Well, that's the way it is.
Right?
We take, look, Philly takes great pride in ripping on their athletes. I think people in Detroit take great pride in saying the goalie and the quarterback in the city of Detroit are the two toughest jobs, and we're going to make sure we stay true to that tradition.
We're going to talk about that quarterback coming up next. Let's move over to the bar because it's Fast Five, the fastest 5 minutes of the show. We want your tweets to come in. Matthew Stafford ranked 13th by execs and coaches last week. Was it too high? Was it too low? What can he do to make the jump? Hashtag 7SportsGame. Dave, Matt, no pizza for you this week.
Oh, man. Some water.
I got look at this carafe.
Wow.
We're going to drink water, get refreshed. We'll be right back.
Thank you.
The Suburban Ford 7 Sports Cave is powered by Suburban Ford of Sterling Heights, Michigan's largest dealer. Visit us at SaveOnCars.net.
Welcome back. Fast 5 minutes presented by Parts Galore. The fastest 5 minutes of the show. Intense, hard-hitting topics. First one up, Matthew. This is good stuff. Matthew
It's
Stafford.
really good stuff. Except for number 5 isn't always the most hard-hitting. We like to have fun with you in number 5.
We'll get to number 5 in a little bit. Nothing about my barbecuing attire. Number 1, Matthew Stafford, always such a topic. We talk about it here. Earlier this week, ranked 13th in a poll of execs and coaches around the NFL, put in the second tier of quarterbacks. Dave, what does he have to do to maybe jump up to that first tier, and did you think the ranking was right?
I thought the ranking was right on. I think it's all about consistency from here on forward for him. Consistency, decision-making, cutting back on the turnovers. That's where he's really taken a step back the last couple of years. Since he led the Lions to the playoffs in 2011 when he threw for 5,000 yards, he has all the arm talent. He has all the talent, frankly, in the world. And he has a good supporting cast this year. I just think he needs to be more consistent with his decisions.
Well, winning would help, and beating teams who are above 500, only 2 wins in his career against that would also serve some type of purpose for Matt Stafford. I agree with you. I think it's about right. You could make an argument that maybe he should be above 1 or 2 other guys, but he's a second-tier quarterback right now. We compare everybody to the best in the business. Everybody wants to compare Pistons or other free agents to LeBron James. Everybody in football at the quarterback position is compared to the top-tier guys in Manning, Brady, Breeze, and Rodgers. He's not there just yet. Can he get there? We'll have to soon find out.
Winning changes a lot. He has not done it in the playoffs yet. Right. That would put a guy in the top tier and ultimately get you in that convetion.
Talented enough to get there, but you're right. He's not on the Peyton Manning, Aaron Rodgers, Tom Brady, Drew Brees type level yet.
He will be. I think he will be.
You do?
Yeah. I really believe so. Topic number 2. Kind of a serious one. But a problem the Lions have faced with maybe issues off the field. Josh Gordon in Cleveland, arrested again.
Idiot.
You're the Browns, Matt. What do you do with him?
Bye. See you. I mean, look, this is the same situation. Did you see what some of these guys are tweeting out? This isn't about football anymore. It's about his life. Where did we hear that before? Titus Young. Yep. It was a year ago, Dave, where you're fielding Twitter questions and you're fielding email questions, and so was I on the radio, about the Lions should go get a guy like Josh Gordon. He's a bad apple. I don't want anything to do with him. I don't care if he can catch footballs on the football field. Fans can say that all they want because they don't have to deal with them on a day-to-day basis and deal with them in the film room. I want nothing to do.
No, you're right about that. Last year, trade deadline, everybody wanted the Lions to go out and get Josh Gordon because he was that missing piece, the guy that they needed. Imagine if they went and got him, what the discussion would be like now after another arrest.
The Jim Caldwell era starting again. Yeah,
Josh Gordon facing a year-long suspension already before his latest incident. He's got 4 traffic tickets, at least 3 failed drug tests. The Browns need to get rid of him. They're not going to do it till after the season.
When's he going to get it? You face a year-long suspension, and you're still doing stupid stuff. It's unbelievable.
It's unbelievable.
Stay here. Our next topic is about free agency. We mentioned it. Greg Monroe's a name in the free agent world. He's a restricted guy. The Pistons own his rights, can match any contract. But the question I pose to you as we get...
It's called a prop.
A prop.
You had a little one right here.
I know.
That's for you.
All right.
This is where the big boys play with.
Oh, wow.
Will Greg Monroe be a Piston next season, Dave?
He will. Greg Monroe will still be a Piston next season because they can match any contract that he has, and I think that's why he's going to be a Piston. Look, he's going to get an offer somewhere. I think right now the NBA landscape, we're just waiting for LeBron James, Dwayne Wade, Chris Bosh, Carmelo Anthony, those pieces to fall into place. Once that happens, Greg Monroe's going to get an offer. If LA misses out on Carmelo and some of those other guys, somebody's going to make him an offer. The Pistons, they haven't done anything in free agency already, at least nothing of note.
You know, like Jody Meeks?
Right, Jody Meeks. So they can't afford to lose Greg Monroe, even though he's not a dominant type player, even if it means paying him.
I don't think Dave likes Cartier Martin. I don't know where you are. You've missed out, apparently, my friend. No, I'm just kidding. Look, I think Greg Monroe is going to wear Piston red, white, and blue, too. I think Stan Van Gundy likes him a lot. I think Stan Van Gundy realizes that top three mix of Drummond, Monroe, and Smith doesn't work when they start together. He'll find a way to solve the problem.
Is it a sign and trade possibility, though?
Sure, there's a sign and trade possibility.
Depends what you're getting back in return. Look, the Pistons
are take him from Portland, wouldn't you? Absolutely, you take.
And they're still a year or two away. If you get some draft picks in a deal like that, too, I think you got to consider it.
They went out and grabbed Chris Kaman out for him, so I don't know if that's a possibility still, but it's certainly something I think.
He's a Chippewa brother, but he's not Greg Monroe.
That's true. The World Cup, something that you will both discuss later in the show. The overtime has been funky, and it's been a big topic of debate. Soccer people love it because it is their sport, but 2 15-minute overtimes, then penalty kicks if it's not settled by then. Should it be sudden death, golden goal, Dave? Is that the way it should go?
I say yes, and here's why. Because you never know how long one of these overtimes is going to take in soccer. I mean, we're playing 1-0 games, 2-1 games. Look, goals take forever in soccer. Figure it out with the shootout. That's fine. With penalty kicks, I got no problem with it. I think you see some. Look, I know it's not soccer in the pure sense of the word, but a lot of times, anyways, you're getting to 11 on 10 at the end of these matches. Look, I have no problem with penalty kicks. I'm not a big World Cup guy. I'm not a huge soccer guy, but I understand why they do it. Otherwise, you're looking at.
You love soccer.
I really don't, but shouldn't you push it back a little bit? Those penalty kicks. Wow. I mean, I don't want to make it sound like it's easy, but shouldn't they move it back at least? And who cares if you don't know when the game's going to end? We don't know when the game's going to end in overtime in hockey either, Dave.
But I'll tell you what.
We don't know when the baseball game's going to end in extra innings.
You don't. Great drama, though, yesterday. Did you watch the Netherlands game yesterday?
I was close to, but then I realized I had to replace my toilet.
It was.
Oh, wow.
That was exciting.
Right? When you make saves like that, when you put them on an island like that.
After the game, to put a new guy in with fresh legs.
Holy cow. How did they survive?
They won.
Oh, man. That's
a
gutsy move by the Netherlands.
I think there could be some drama there, too.
All right, as we continue with Get Off Your Lawn guys over here.
Wait a minute. I love Clint Eastwood,
Go ahead.
but I don't have a shotgun at any.
Why don't you read topic number 5 that we came up with?
Fireworks, are they overrated?
Jeez.
I love fireworks.
Statler and Waldorf over here.
I go to the Pine Lake Country Club fireworks every single year with our friends the Dixons. However, 3 days in a row, 3 hours at a time,
right?
At some point, can we say enough is enough? It's almost like the Woodward Dream Cruise. It's not 1 week. It happens for a month.
That's sacrilegious. You can't say that.
I'm just telling you, man. Fireworks are great. Don't get me wrong, but they've started a week before the 4th of July and they continue a week after. Let's put a moratorium on how long it can last.
You have never invited me to those fireworks with your buddies, but I'm with you on this one. Look, I like fireworks. I love taking the kids to the fireworks. You know, it's nice for them to see it when you're young. I think you get into it. Even the little sparklers, right? My daughter likes the sparklers when she's done with that with our neighbors across.
They had sparklers at our wedding
when
we walked out of the chapel.
Let's get a copy of Dave doing this.
But when we're coming home last night, driving home from my mom's, and it's 10 o'clock at night, and we got to wait because there's people in the middle of the street lighting off fireworks for them to clean up that pile, I think enough is enough of fireworks at this time of year.
You had your
Stick with barbecuing.
Hey, all you kids in Berkeley and Beverly Hills, this is the house to go to. You want to have fireworks every single night? Go over to the Galli's backyard,
I'll be there, baby. Let's party. Fireworks all weekend. They have their party on the 4th. Other people have it. Maybe they had to work. I get what you're saying.
I like it on the 4th, though. I like it on the 4th.
I love it. Even the 3rd. I got no issue with it.
That guy burned his house down. Did you see that?
I did.
Yeah, no good. All right, Spencer Dinwiddie joining us next live from Orlando, scheduled to join us from the Pistons Summer League. We were hoping to connect with him.
Basketball. Get the prop.
The basketball, the prop. I'm going to walk it through. Whoa, spillage. walking it towards the camera as we go to break. Pistons.
Hey, you just covered me up.
The Suburban Ford 7 Sports Cave is brought to you in part by Remember Click It or Ticket.
This right here is the place to be on Sunday afternoons. The Suburban Ford 7 Sports Cave. Brad Galli, Dave Birkett of the Detroit Free Press, Matt Shepard, 11:30 The Fan. Guys, to reset things for people, we talked about the Tigers, maybe a trade being made coming up, especially in response to the A's making their big blockbuster trade. We talked about the Red Wings and their moves or lack thereof in the free agency starting period. Use your tweets, use your Twitter, use the hashtag 7SportsCave to join the conversation. Weigh in on all of those topics. We're just a half hour in, but we talk about everything again later going on. Spencer Dinwiddie, the Pistons rookie, second-round draft pick, set to join us soon here live from Orlando. But as we get set, can you guys pull up the iPad here? Because there's been a trend on this show of people being accepted. 7 Sports Cave. Hey, Brad Galli, when does Dave Birkett get the invite for the Character League basketball?
Thank you. Who said that? Who sent that?
Chris Struan, the guy who opens the gym for us at Brother
Chris, I appreciate that. Yeah, you know, Brad here, I've been banging on him for a couple weeks now trying to get in, and he won't let me in the gym. He's afraid. He can't hold this. Yeah. I don't know what the deal is.
Even last week, you said, "Can I play?" I said, "Oh, yeah." We had a lot of regulars join, so we'll see what happens. Let's get to more important stuff.
Regulars.
Not bad for an old guy.
Yeah.
Not bad, right? Pistons prop. Spencer Dinwiddie, drafted out of Colorado, second-round pick from the Detroit Pistons. Not yet? Okay, great. We're getting set. We're going to try to get
live TV.
Live
right?
TV, baby.
That's good.
What did you guys make of the selection, at least of the draft?
I liked it.
Yeah?
Yeah, I liked it. I mean, he's a tall point guard. He's confident. He can shoot it, and he can handle it. I think it gives him an element that this team has been lacking and that other teams around the NBA now have. I don't think he's a combo guard. I think he's a point guard. He's a tall one. I think it helps this team for the future, and I think it's a reason it shows you. I think they needed this a year ago. They chose not to go that route, and Kentavious Caldwell-Pope had 26 in the Summer League game yesterday. They've got a young backcourt now that I think a lot of people will be able to adapt to for a while.
I think it's tough to hit home runs in the second round, you know, but I think when you get a guy like that, there's some upside there. You know, I've said this before. It reminds me a little bit of Ryan Broyles coming off the knee injury. It's always tough. It's always something that you're a little bit worried about how strongly is he going to rebound. But you're right, that size factor. When you got a guy that can play either guard position like that, something that the NBA needs is length. They love guys like that. I think he's got a chance, and they can use this year as a redshirt year because we all know the Pistons aren't going to win the title this year.
Here's the thing, though. He's a first-round talent.
Right.
That's the beauty of it. I mean, if he's healthy, and I'm going to ask him why he didn't go back. If he's healthy, I mean, he started every game as a freshman. He led this team in scoring before he got hurt. He led this team in scoring as a sophomore. He's a first-round talent. A lot of people feel like he's the kind of guy who would have been perhaps a lottery pick, but no worse than a first-round guy.
He carried Colorado before he got hurt last year. He was really good before he got hurt, and Colorado was really good before he got hurt, and we all saw how they fell off after that. So I like the pick, but it's not without risk.
All right. Mike, Mike's in the controller monitoring things. We're going to do a new segment this week. I think we should maybe jump into it now. A true or false segment regarding the Detroit Tigers. All right? So let's kick it off here with some true or false statements. I'm going to lay them out there for you guys. The first one is this. All-Star Game selections being made tonight. True or false? The Tigers will have one pitcher on the All-Star team.
True. It'll be Max Scherzer.
Max Scherzer.
False. I think both Porcello and Scherzer are going to make it. Actually, the guy I'd be more worried about that deserves to go is Ian Kinsler. There's just a logjam at second base.
Yeah, but he should go.
Kinsler should go.
Look,
should go.
Altuve's been great, but Pedroia, I mean, Ian Kinsler, where he ranks, first in homers among second basemen, third in average among second basemen, only has 2 errors. Robinson Cano is going to start. Altuve will go for Houston as well. That will help a Detroit pitcher because Dallas Keuchel, I think Houston's only getting one guy. Yeah. So Keuchel will be the one guy out of that mix as a pitcher who could go. Altuve goes for Houston. That might hurt Kinsler, but it'll help Scherzer.
Scherzer over Porcello for you?
Yeah, I think so. Look, it's an all-star event, and we've talked about whether wins matter that much. Max Scherzer still has 10 wins. Look at what he's done recently, and he's a guy who's a strikeout pitcher. If you're an American League team and you want home field advantage, and that's what it means, you want guys to come in for one inning, not to pitch to contact, but to get guys out.
Especially if he's that close to being worthy. Yeah.
I just don't think there's enough good pitchers in the American League to keep Porcello off. I think enough guys are going to get in. Well, I think when you take into account who's going to start next Sunday.
What he's done this year.
Yeah, this year, I think Porcello deserves
Based
to go.
on what, though?
He's going to go.
Based on the 11 wins? Because Scott Kazmir's got 9.
Shutouts.
What he's done.
How about 2 complete game shutouts in a row?
Look, you're talking about who's been on Rick Porcello's bandwagon for the last 3 years while everybody's been jumping off. I'm just telling you, Scott Kazmir, John Lester, David Price, you brought up earlier. I mean,
Felix.
those guys, yeah. Well, Felix Hernandez,
those guys.
All right, next one here. True or false? Austin Jackson deserves to be an everyday player for this Tigers team.
False. I just think, all their outfielders right now, or most of their outfielders, I think they're kind of interchangeable. Nobody has really earned a spot to be out there every day, whether it's Rajai Davis, Hunter, Austin Jackson.
JD Martinez, with what he's done recently.
He's the best one of the group.
He's probably your left fielder. Austin
Dirk's
Jackson.
coming back.
Yeah, I would say false as well. Austin Jackson, I could see Rajai Davis in center field with him, maybe even a Torrey Hunter once in a while in center field. It's a good problem to have. It's similar to what the Dodgers have, but
is it good for him? We've seen what's happened to him in the playoffs when they had to finally move him out of that leadoff spot. Maybe some
but he's
things
been back in
get
the
said.
leadoff spot and he's been doing better.
Right,
actually,
has been doing better.
So
baseball's a mental game. Is it good for him to be a platoon guy?
Well, probably not. He wants to be. He's an everyday guy in the lineup. But if the Torrey Hunter can take a backseat once in a while, Austin Jackson.
Good or not, he needs to distinguish himself before he gets an everyday role.
Now, we've talked so much about the bullpen on this show. We talked about it already this show. Joe Nathan, the closer now. True or false? He will be the closer at the end of the regular season.
True. He will be. Yeah, I think Brad Ausmussen's got a lot of confidence in him. I think he's come a long way. Remember, he made 10 saves in his first 11 chances before he hit the skids. They corrected some things. His confidence is supreme. I talked to catchers the other day at both Halladay and Avila. They think his stuff is still right back where it was at the beginning of the season. Look, is he lights out like Doolittle stuff? No, but he can still get outs, and the swings and misses lately have been really encouraging.
Yeah, no, I say true, too. I just don't think that there's an elite closer that they're going to go out and get. So I think the Tigers are going to have Nathan at the back end of the bullpen. Maybe they get some guy just in case he falters, but you're not going to get out Greg Holland or an Aroldis Chapman or somebody like that. That's not out there in the trade market, so Joe Nathan.
Houston Street is, though, and he's perfect in 20 save opportunities.
Jonathan Papelbon's had a good year, too. I just don't think either of those guys is that much better than Joe Nathan to upset that apple cart.
Last one, most important one, at least for the regular season. True or false? The Tigers win the American League Central.
True. I said it earlier. I just don't think any team in the division has enough firepower in their minor leagues to go out and get the piece that they need to put them over the top. I think the Tigers are the best team right now. They got the best rotation. They got a good middle of the order. The way J.D. Martinez is hitting, you can throw him in there, too. I think the Tigers win the Central.
I think Detroit wins the division by at least 8 games.
Wow. 8. Strong. Mm-hmm. All right, we're still trying to connect with Spencer Dinwiddie, who's trying to get in the lineup for the Pistons this season and trying to get back and healthy from tearing his ACL. The Pistons, he's not playing for the Lions. No. Ryan Broyles, you're confusing me, Dave. Spencer Dinwiddie, the Pistons' second-round draft pick. We're scheduled to join us live coming up. Use your tweets. We're going to put them on TV. This is the Suburban Ford, 7 Sports Cave. We'll be right back. Welcome back inside. Nice aerial view of Comerica Park, Ford Field. Tigers set to play on Sunday Night Baseball again against the Rays. Nice little primetime showcase for our guys again.
Always good to have them in the PM.
Is that the second time this week? Second time in this series they've played on national TV.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah, because I think it was a Friday night?
Yeah.
Good for them. Got to win, though. Got to get a win.
I think they have the third most wins in baseball. I don't know if you.
No, I know.
Are you looking for more on that?
Hey,
good pitching matchup.
No, I mean win the series. I mean try to get a win against these guys.
Win the series. Yeah,
against these guys.
Yeah.
I want to show these off. We have some new socks. Can you get them on this camera here? I got Michigan socks.
Oh, that's the mitten.
Yeah, I got them up north this week.
Oh, good for you.
Yeah.
How'd you go up north?
I went to Harbor Springs.
Oh, it's beautiful there.
Great.
Did you play golf?
No, ran a 5K. I was up there for about a day and a half. I had to get back to work. Let's take some of the tweets that we were talking about earlier. Travis Mailslot, let's get this one up here. If Weiss gets healthy for the Red Wings, you will be pleasantly surprised with how good he can be.
I loved that signing when it took place. I think he's a tough, hard-nosed guy who plays down the middle of the ice. One of the biggest disappointments for me last year was Stephen Weiss's inability to play.
Dave, how much could free agency change in offseason? Because cornerbacks is one position, in fact, for Lions fans that always say, well, where have they been? Where have they been? Where have they been? Why don't they sign them?
Yeah, it's tough. I mean, good cornerbacks don't typically get on the market. We saw, obviously, Revis this year. That was a different story, and Talib, a couple good players. But, look, the Lions, they've felt comfortable all along. We've talked about it before. Darius Slay, Rasheem Mathis at cornerbacks. You may not like it. I may not like it. But they think those guys will be able to stand.
I don't mind Slay.
No,
look, as a sports society, we're not patient anymore.
Sure.
We want Nick Castellanos to bat 300 and be the next Mike Trout. We want Darius Slay to be the next, Aqib Talib. And it's a tough position to get acquainted to, especially, as I've said time and time again, for a guy who spent 2 years in a JUCO program and then a man-to-man situation his last year at Mississippi State. Takes a long time to adjust to the NFL level.
This defense will suit him better. Bottom line, though, in the NFL, free agency is not the way to win ball games. You got to do it through drafting and developing, and maybe you mix and match a piece here and there.
People still hot about the Wings. Joey J, the young guns and vet injuries might have influenced free agents from coming here. Mike Green is a possibility if he becomes available for Washington. If he becomes available, I throw the kitchen sink, everything at him to try to get Mike Green.
Yeah, I don't know if I'd go that far, but I think he'd be a really good acquisition for this team. He's 28, and he's proven that he can get it done. And the reason he's expendable, obviously, is because Washington signed Niskanen and Brooks Orpik away from Pittsburgh.
I wonder if he means because the young guns, free agents thinking that they're going to play a bigger role, may not want to come here? Is that
I think the injuries and then the guys are too young. I don't know where Joey J was going, but we appreciate you chiming in.
Well, yeah, look, the young players, you would think a lot of these guys would want to play with some of these young guys who are showing a great deal of promise.
This last one here, another character league reference of my pickup basketball league. This
character league. What's that about, anyways? What?
We play with character. This is from Nick, my buddy. We don't want Birkett.
Nick.
Free agents don't come because of the facilities.
Wow.
I think we have a nice gym.
That's cold, Nick. I've been there. I've reffed the Brother Rice Rec League before, the Sunday Night League. You know, I've reffed there. It's not about the facilities. It's about
you guys would help their basketball program, right? They don't have a very good basketball program, so you guys would both help their basketball.
I would not. Dave would. We're going to get him in here. We're going to try to make it happen. We're still trying to connect with Spencer Dinwiddie, the Pistons' second-round draft pick. If and when we do, we're going to take some of your questions and ask the Pistons rookie about them. We're just kicking things off here. 7 Sports Cave. Much, much more going on. Thanks for the tweets. Keep them coming. Matt, Dave, and Brad monitoring. Fun Sunday morning with y'all. Breakfast in Wimbledon? No. Breakfast in the cave.
Breakfast with us.
That's right.
Who's winning Wimbledon anyway? Is it still going on?
Yes.
The Suburban Ford 7 Sports Cave is powered by Suburban Ford of Sterling Heights, Michigan's largest dealer. Visit us at SaveOnCars.net.
We have promised you all morning that the newest Piston would join us, Spencer Dinwiddie, the second-round pick of the Detroit Pistons, standing by live from Orlando in the Summer League. We're going to ask him all about playing time, that ACL.
When will he be ready to make his debut?
But first, Spencer, thank you for joining us. Welcome into the cave. And first of all, what was draft night like for you and hearing your name picked?
Oh, I mean, draft night was great. You know, I was at my house with about 20 of my close family and friends, and we were just waiting. We knew I was going to get my name called. We didn't know where, and when the Pistons finally selected me at 38, it was a lot of excitement in the room.
We know you were rehabbing a little bit earlier today, Spencer. Can you just give us an update on where things stand with your knee and how long it is before you expect to be on the court and contributing this year?
I mean, the coaches said that I can't give a timetable, but I mean, rehab's going great. I don't really have any movement restrictions. I'm doing, a lot of things, and I'm on the court, stuff like that. So, I'm having a lot of fun with it, but the coach said I can't give an exact timeline.
Spencer, you're a first-round talent. Everybody would say that when healthy. Why'd you come out after your junior year when you'd accomplished so much and yet you had the ACL injury?
Well, because I felt like, being able to pour everything into my knee was a big factor for me. I obviously, I rehabbed hard to get to the point where I'm at, before I even got into the draft and got selected. But, being able to just have my knee be my job, it's a different level of focus and a different level of training that I was able to partake in, now that I'm not in school anymore.
When you look back at draft and the whole process of where people fell and where it went through and where you're ending up, do you feel like this is a good situation for you to get some playing time when you look at the roster, when you've talked to this coaching staff? How much do you see yourself in this lineup on an everyday basis, if and when you get back?
I mean, I think it's an excellent opportunity. I haven't played with, the other point guards on the roster and, BJ and Will Bynum and Siva, but, I do bring something a little bit different in my height and in my stature. And, I definitely see an opportunity to be able to play, as soon as they clear me, and that's great. And other than that, Arnie is one of the best in the business, and having him look after my knee, I think it's, a perfect situation.
Hey, who was your guy growing up in California as a bigger point guard? Who was the guy that you tried to model your game after?
You're probably expecting Magic Johnson, but I never really modeled my game after anybody. My favorite player growing up was was far and away Kobe Bryant, and that's the guy, you know, I kind of looked up to, even though, you know, our games aren't really similar at all. But that was my favorite player growing up.
But some would say your game's a little like Penny Hardaway. Is that a fair comparison?
Yeah. I think that's very valid. You know, I think I favor the three a little bit more than he did, and he favored the post-up actually a little bit more than I do. But, you know, I think that's a fairly good comparison as far as, you know, versatility, length, being able to run the one in a 6'6", 6'7" type frame, and you know, being big enough to kind of guard multiple positions.
I think the Pistons would love a guy if they had a guy like Penny, right? Penny in his prime.
No doubt.
Yeah. We've got a question from Twitter here. What could you bring to the Pistons that is different than everybody else?
Well, I mean, obviously, you know, like I said before, the other point guards on the roster are not as big as I am, and you know, I definitely favor the three. You know, like I said, I don't know their games in detail, but I know that I'm bigger than they are, and I like to shoot threes probably a little bit more than they do. So, you know, that along with defensive versatility with my size and my frame are things that I think that I bring to the roster that are different than, you know, the other guys at my position.
That was from Regicide Greg, by the way, at Regicide Greg. So thanks for the question, Greg.
Hey, Spencer, real quick, how do you view Detroit? As a California guy, and then you go to Colorado and play, how do you view the Pistons organization? We, growing up here, know, you know, the tradition that it's had. Stan Van Gundy's talked about the tradition. What about you from the outside? How did you view it?
I always viewed it as, you know, guys that played really hard, did whatever it took to win, and I think I fit that mold. Other than that, you know, it's not like I was a Pistons fan growing up. You guys like to beat my Lakers, so, you know, I wasn't exactly happy with that all the time.
Spencer, the comparisons, Penny Hardaway, the dreams, it's great to see everything accomplished for you. We wish you the best in recovering from that ACL tear, and have some fun down there in Orlando with all those great guys around you.
Thank you. I will.
Spencer Dinwiddie joining us live from Orlando in the Summer League. Pistons second-round draft pick. Thanks again for the Pistons setting that up and everything.
Good
kid.
Impressive
good head on his
kid.
shoulders. Yeah. Especially coming out of that ACL tear.
No doubt.
Good stuff. Well, we're coming back with this on our final thoughts here on the Suburban Forward 7 Sportscape, so stick with us. Some good thoughts on the World Cup. And one final chime-in thought about the Red Wings and where the future is headed for that team. Be right back. Welcome back. This is the part of the show where we chime in with our final thoughts on the week. And interesting when these guys came in and said, well, this is my final thought. Well, wait, that's my final thought. They're both talking World Cup. They both have different opinions on it. Dave Birkett, you are first, my friend.
And you know, the thing is, it's not like either one of us is a big soccer guy. But
yeah, that's pretty evident by my final take, but not yours.
Well, I mean, I just finished high school when the relic that we old-timers call the Pontiac Silverdome hosted the World Cup. And I remember back then having the debate, what does the future hold for soccer? That was 20 years ago, about the time Brad was born. And I say that not to date myself, but to put into context the same discussion that's been going on for weeks. Soccer has grown tremendously in popularity in the past 2 decades. There were no World Cup watch parties in Cadillac Square back then, and the thought of EuroLeague games on TV seems silly. The sport has a foothold in the United States now. It's not big, and it certainly isn't any immediate threat to pass football, baseball, or basketball as America's favorite pastimes. But the changing demographics of our great country and the accessibility of the sport means soccer isn't going anywhere anytime soon. A lot of you out there would be hard-pressed to name the 4 teams left in the World Cup, and it certainly isn't appointment viewing for me. But 20 years from now, when Tim Howard's son is in goal for the U.S. and I'm retired on a boat somewhere and this discussion is ramping up again, just remember how far the sport has come.
Will I get invited on that boat?
Depends if you invite me to play basketball or not.
That seems like a good trade.
How often have we heard soccer is growing? Look, the TV numbers are way up for the World Cup, and suddenly everyone's a soccer fan in the U.S. And I think it's great if it brings the country closer together. But can we please pump the brakes just a little bit? Just because the world loves its soccer doesn't mean that we in the United States have to follow. I'll admit, I'm confused by the allure. People are suddenly enamored with a sport where faking is rewarded and few scoring chances are cheered and a lack of physical play is admired. Now we have some voices screaming for an MLS team in Detroit. Are you serious? Do you realize you won't be getting the same World Cup talent or World Cup flair? The highest scoring team in the 19-member MLS right now averages 2 points per game, and that team, Seattle, is the only one. There are 9 teams averaging 1.1 goals or fewer. People complain about hockey. Every team but Buffalo averaged better than 2 goals a game last season. Only 9 teams in the MLS average 80% or higher capacity at their games. It happened to just 1 team in the NHL, Dallas. I don't get this push for soccer, and I guess I never will.
Well, when I was growing up, July 1st in Detroit was a holiday in itself. The Red Wings would create fireworks at midnight year after year. No salary cap, an owner, Mike Ilitch, who loved to outspend everybody to win, and big player names like Dominik Hasek, Luc Robitaille, Brett Hull, Brian Rafalski, Marian Hossa, the list went on. July 1st rocked. Even when it didn't seem plausible for a star to land here, the Wings were always in play. The salary cap changed that. But at first we thought it wouldn't affect the Wings that much. Surely they'd land Zach Parise or Ryan Suter in 2012, we thought. No doubt they'd get that defenseman they so desperately needed this past week, we thought. But one strikeout after another, we've realized the salary cap has changed everything. I don't buy the notion Ken Holland should be fired or even on the hot seat like so many fans are calling for. Should he or could he have done more? Sure. Daniel Cleary and Kyle Quincy, twice now, were panic moves, as Matt said earlier in the show. But as one national writer pointed out this week, even as depressing as things were, this entire week, the Wings are still a model franchise around the league. That is great, no doubt. But that only goes so far in a town where we've expected the best. We've expected the parades. Holland and company set that standard, and now in a changing league, they have to find a way to meet it again. We talked so much about the Wings, where they're going, soccer. Always fun to have both of you on the show.
Thanks, appreciate it.
Yeah, no, it's a good time. Yeah.
Except I do have one problem. You were 2 for 2 in pizza appearances, and there's no pizza today.
Struck out this time.
Batting .666 now.
We'll go get some after the show.
Let's do that.
Maybe we will. Pizza party. It's always fun. Thanks for the gift. Matt, Dave, Suburban Ford, thanks so much. We're here every Sunday. Enjoy it. Thanks for being a part of it.